All right. Excellent. So, welcome to now the registration meeting. So, this is where we are going to start the registration for this next year. Okay. And we want to welcome everyone here today. And today I would like to talk a little bit more about what are some of the requirements, the things that we need and expect from you as parents, okay, and from the students. All right. So um, I have been doing online classes for quite a while already. And one of the things that I think that is important, almost really critical, is for us to understand that we need to have a partnership. Okay. So, and kind of one of the most obvious things that sometimes is kind of obviated because it's so obvious is that because we have an online school, the students need to have access to an adequate um, set of technology in order to participate in the class. Okay. You know, this seems kind of like, wow, that is kind of obvious. But in all these years that I have been doing online learning, I have to tell you so many times I have students that go through the whole year of classes, and when I ask them to turn on their camera, they said, "Oh, my camera is not working." Okay. Or they have to do the class from a phone, or they don't have a microphone, so they cannot talk, you know. So those things, are kind of.
And that's gonna take, I need to go on the web.
There we go. Thank you. So those things are kind of obvious, but they are actually very, very important. It's very, very different for a class to actually function correctly, whether you are talking to people that you can actually see, or if you are talking just to black squares. All right. In these meetings, of course, it's no problem if you don't have the camera on, that is all right. But when we are having a class, actually, it is very critical and important to actually being able to have the cameras on. Okay. Several of you have been students in some of my classes this past year. And sometimes we have the case where I have a student that seems to be in class because I can see the black square with their name there. And I ask them a question, I ask them directly a question, and there's no answer. Okay. And I continue asking, and there's, no answer still. So obviously, they logged in into the meeting, they don't turn the camera on, and then I have no idea who is there and who is not. Okay. And so that is kind of very, very different experience than being able to meet with people and being able to see one another and see the reactions and by the participation, raising their hands, participating in the chat, and so on. Okay. So that is something that I hope that we understand. Okay. That in order to do an online course, you need to be able to provide to the student a good internet connection. Okay. And a good computer where you can actually are able to turn the camera on, they are able to see what is going on, and so on. All right. So in some cases, some students, because they are commuting during the time of the class or they are, doing things and so on, they have to connect through the phone. All right. Of course, that is not the ideal, but it's also, if you think about it, an advantage because there are cases where the student is kind of in the middle of the commute during the beginning of the class or something like that, or they need to go somewhere and they can still participate that way. It's not, the best, but at least it's something that can be done. Okay, Christina, how was your experience? Because you did a lot of the classes also there from the phone when you were you were waiting for some of your kids. I believe that you were not driving.
Yeah, I actually had my computer with me. I was on my computer, but I was in the car. So, but yeah, it was great. As long as I was just sitting there waiting, I could be doing a class. So,
Mhm. But you had your computer on, so you were able to actually see the screen and everything well. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Excellent. So yeah, so that is a big, an issue, all right, and something that we need to make sure that we understand that, I cannot, or the teachers cannot be the technical support, okay? Because if a student tells me my camera is not working, there's nothing I can do about it. I have to believe them, okay, for once, right, and there's nothing that I can do to troubleshoot or help or anything like that. So I really hope that you help out our partnership by being able to provide to your students with the best, internet connection that is possible and with the hardware that is necessary in order to have a good experience. Are there any questions about this? Are we okay with this? Any questions? Emily in the chat put, can it be an iPad? Well, depends. Okay. So depends on the size of the iPads because there are iPads of different sizes. All right. The tricky thing of an iPad is that the screen is very small. And so if the student has to go to a different website or a different, application during the meeting, then it's really hard to kind of maneuver between one and the other. Okay. All right. We also have found that the iPads are not really helpful when they have to share the screen. All right. Sometimes we ask the students to prepare a presentation or an assignment that they share with the rest of us, and so that is kind of tricky. All right. I'm not saying that it cannot be. I'm okay with someone using an iPad, but again, they have to be able to be fully participating in the class. Does that answer the question, Emily? Mhm. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Mhm. So any other questions about what are the things necessary here for these online courses to succeed as far as the technical side? We kind of get that out of the way. Mhm. Okay. All right. I think that we are okay with that. So we need internet connection, a stable, reliable internet connection, a computer that will connect, okay, and have a microphone and a camera available so the students can participate fully. All right. Um, what are other expectations, all right, for partnership again to work well? Okay, you see. Oh, sorry, Sienna, were you able to say something? Did you want to ask a question?
I don't have any questions at this time.
Oh, okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you. Mhm. So, um, another thing that is important is the time of study and the preparation for the class. Okay. All the courses are designed so we use this flipped classroom model. And in the flipped classroom model, the idea is that the students study the materials of the lesson before they come to class. Okay. And then they come to class having completed their assignments, having read what they needed to study, and being prepared actually talk and discuss the things that they have learned before. All right. So that is an important aspect of these courses. If the students come to the class without having read, without having studied, they just come to class, then really there's not a whole lot of participation. Okay. The dynamics really, really change. And, if no one is able to kind of contribute to the discussion because they haven't studied things, then things turn more into kind of lecture mode. All right. That is the least favorite thing for me to do, frankly. Okay. But when the students come ready, having read the material, having studied and done the assignments, then we have actually really good and constructive discussions in classes. I have a few of you who have taken the classes with me this past year. If you want to kind of tell about your experience, all right, both ways, having witnessed classes where the students are prepared and sometimes when the students are not very prepared, what is the difference between one experience and the other? Mm-hmm. What has been, I'm seeing, I have Montserrat, Christina, Marcy, and I think yeah, both Marcy's here. Yeah. Christina, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
At least for me, it's always helpful if I've read ahead because then I actually learn something. If I don't know what we're talking about, I can't keep up really. But it is also helpful when the kids contribute or when the students contribute, because then it's not just one person talking. We can all learn from each other. And sometimes people say things in a different way that connects with somebody else. So it's better if they're prepared and they participate.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that. So that is a very important part of, again, our expectation. Okay. So because of that, I need to have your help, okay, in providing the students the time and the space for them to be able to organize their schedule so they actually have the time available to do the study and the coursework beforehand. Okay, so that is actually a very important part of that. All right. And as parents, I think that you are going to be, the critical in that role. So, one way to describe this partnership is that basically we are here to be the mentors, the teachers, the coaching staff for the school, but we need you to be kind of the IT support, okay? You or your husband, be the IT support for the family, and the proctor, if you wish, okay? The person kind of navigating things and making sure that things are happening that way. Okay. So, Marcy, go ahead. Mhm.
Yeah, just to add to that, I feel that there's ways to incorporate the things that our children are learning with the rest of the family. So a few times we would have the videos, the rest of my children would gather around and we'd all watch them together, and it would spark some conversation at dinner. And I think the more that's happening in the home, the richer and the more prepared they are for class. I wish I'd done that more. That's kind of my hope for this coming year, is to do that more.
Excellent, excellent, and that is certainly something that is also very important. These courses, okay, are available really to the whole family. Okay, I'm not going to say this aloud too much, but but that is actually the case. And so when your children or your students are watching the videos or doing something, the rest of the family could also watch and participate that way. Okay. And that also helps to, make the student, the child that is taking the course, more confident that they are actually contributing not just to their education, but to the whole experience of the family. All right. So the more that you value the effort that they make, the more effort that they are going to make. Okay. In that. So that is important. All right. Are there any questions about any of the courses? We have some of our teachers here in this meeting. I see Sam, Alan, and Trent, okay, here. If you have any questions for me or for them about their courses, anything specific or about how these courses work. Mhm.
I have a question. I'm sorry, I can't remember how to raise a hand.
That's great, no problem. Go ahead.
I'm wondering if someone that's taken a previous course could offer an opinion of what do they think if we were to take the pre-recorded course. I'm interested in one of the courses, but it's not at a time that we can do it. So I was thinking about doing the pre-recorded one that was taught this last year.
Okay, so that is a great question. Okay, we are going to offer this year. We are going to offer physics, the geometry course, and biology, both with the live class or with the pre-recorded class. Okay, in the pre-recorded mode, the student is still expected to do the same amount of work, the same studies. They are going to, instead of participating on the live class, they are going to be watching an edited version of the class taught in this previous year. All right. And then the other thing that we are going to do in these courses is I'm going to add a requirement for the student to schedule a time to meet with the teacher for 15 minutes every 4 weeks. Okay, so not every 4 weeks worth of work that they completed. Okay. So if they take, if they complete the first 4 weeks of the course in 2 weeks, then at that time they can schedule and meet with me, and we can review the things that they are doing, what they are learning, and everything, in order to make sure that they are understanding and they are doing things well. Okay, so those are the ones that we are doing. Okay. So yes, the classes are physics, biology, and geometry. The reason why we are doing those is because those are the ones that we have taught this past year. All right. As we continue teaching other courses and gathering the videos and being able to offer the edited videos of the other courses, we may be also able to offer these self-paced courses to, in more of them, all right, the following year. Okay. But this is not kind of the independent study type of course where you buy the course, do the thing, turn in the assignments, and then you are done. Okay, here we are actually expecting, the students, they are going to receive feedback from their assignments, and then they are expected to meet with the teacher at least, would be 4 times per semester. All right. So that is how those courses are going to go. Morrison, does that answer your question?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, no
Sorry,
problem.
that took a minute. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, excellent. Ellen asked, what the class times look like, discussion, breakouts, videos. Okay, so I think that the question is during the live class, what do the live classes look like? All right. And there's really a variety of options. Sometimes we have discussions. Most of the times what we try is to elicit kind of a Socratic type of discussion where the students are able to ask questions or the teacher asks the questions for the students to answer. Sometimes we have breakout rooms. Sometimes we do small quizzes and so on. In some of the classes, we have actually watched some videos and then analyze the videos as we go through in order to make sure that everyone understands what they are watching and whatnot. Usually, the way that the classes start, we start with a prayer and we ask for a volunteer to say the prayer. After the prayer, we start the recording in order to record the rest of the class. And one of the things that I like to do is to show some of the work that the students have turned in for the class. All right, so I usually share the assignments of some of the students and we go over, okay, if they have questions or if they take notes that are, worth, especially worth pointing out and so on. That is kind of what we do. And then we have an opportunity for the students to ask questions. And from there goes the discussion. Towards the end of the class, usually the last few minutes of the class, we show what is going to be the lesson and the assignments for the following week. Okay, so we kind of do a preview of the class that is coming up. And then after that, we stop the video recording. I usually also give the students the opportunity to ask any other questions because sometimes the students don't want to ask the questions when they are being recorded, but I understand that. Okay, so, and then what I have done is we have kind of the what I call the second hour of class time, all right? In this second hour, I open breakout rooms. We open breakout rooms that the students can go to, and the students can choose whether to remain in the main room of the meeting or to go to breakout rooms. And then they can start studying the lesson for the following week. If they have a question, okay, I can go to a breakout room with them, and address any question that they may have and so on. Sometimes I am in middle of meetings, and so the students are just there online while I'm doing something else. If they have a question, I'm there to help them out. But if not, that is fine. Most of the times, the students that choose to go to a breakout room just start studying together, okay? But it's a good time for them to socialize and get to know each other, and get to know, form more friendships with the students that they have online. So, Ellen, does that answer your question about how the classes go? Okay, excellent. Thank you. Mhm. How student-led are the assignments? Okay. I'm not sure I get this exactly, but let me tell you, at least in my classes, that we do have a variety of assignments. But in most of my classes, I ask the students to take notes of what they are learning. Okay. And so then they actually are able to share their notes and with me. And they keep these notes. I always ask them to put them in a bound notebook. That becomes basically a record of their learning. So they write their notes, they take pictures of them, and then they upload them into a document, and they share the document with me. And that is kind of what we also share with the rest of the class. Okay. So some assignments are more like problem solving, or doing a simulation, or we have done assignments where they do a lab. They have to cook something or make something and then show it to the rest of the class. Okay. So I hope that answers the question. John and Ruth, is that okay? Mm-hmm. All right. So let me see. We have Andrea is asking, my son is between physics and leadership. Okay, knowing if any will be offered in 24-25 will help him decide. So our hope, okay, is to continue growing the academy, all right, and to have all the courses also being offered the following year. Okay, so it all depends on how well we treat all our teachers, whether they will be willing to return or not. So, so I hope that they have a good experience and they are willing to return. All right. Andrea, one of the characteristics of these classes is that, these classes are built by the particular teachers that are teaching the class. Okay. And so, I guarantee that this teacher is going to be next year offering the class. I really cannot totally guarantee, but my hope is that we will and will continue that way. Okay. And hopefully they have such a good experience that they want to even offer more classes. All right. So okay. Does that help, Andrea? I hope that it does. All right. Nicole is asking, what kind of support will the students need for the innovations course? Will they need certain supplies or anything? Trent, I'm going to let
Yeah,
you answer that one.
thanks. And thank you for the question. Can you hear me fine? I don't usually use Zoom on my phone.
I think that we are okay. Barely.
Okay. All right. Yeah, sorry, I'm on a beach in Hawaii. But as far as
We are
support
not
for the course, I think
there's no sorry about that. Okay, sorry.
As far as support goes, we're really going to be focusing on the characteristics of historic and modern innovators, inventors, and heroes. I think the course content for a 15, 16, 17-year-old, there's probably no parental support needed. If the student is, 12, 13, or 14, they may need some guidance as far as, just reading and understanding. But really the subject matter is we can go as deep as they want, or as superficial or surface level as they want. I don't think any support is going to be needed for older students though. And as far as materials, I've posted a book list on the page. There's 4 books. All of them are pretty cheap on Amazon, especially if you purchase them used. And 3 of the 4 books are available on Audible if you use that format. So I think the content, at least in my opinion, is very interesting for the whole family, not just students that are taking the class. And I'm trying to incorporate at least 4 or 5 months of the Well-Educated Heart rotation. So students that are in the class, like in September, we'll learn about inventors and innovators that help us understand stars. We'll have a week we focus on Abraham Lincoln as an inventor. Another week we'll focus on the Mothers University topic of music, so inventors of musical instruments and things like that. So anyway, I'll provide all of the material outside of those 4 books. And then as far as support, just to sum it all back up, I don't think the students will need a lot of support. Maybe the younger students might need some guidance, but I hope that answers the question.
So will they need to be doing projects like inventing things or composing music or, creating something new?
As far as creating something new, no. We will have a daily and weekly, what we call a problem solution journal. And that will be just looking at the world around them, seeing common problems that they encounter from day to day and possible solutions. So it's really just looking at the world and how our ideas can make the world a better place for those, within our circle of influence. So if we're having issues with cooking waffles in the morning, what is an idea that would make cooking waffles more efficient for your family? And so it's just each day writing one thing down of what's a problem you see and how could you solve it. Some might be simple, some could be complex, but there's going to be no requirement to, make a model of it or something like that, unless they want to. And then at the end of the course, so the last 6 weeks, we'll focus on patent law. And so we'll sort of distill down what our best ideas of the idea journals have been for the first 26 weeks, and then start looking at, is this patentable? How do I go about patenting my invention? What are the next steps to take my ideas to the next level? And then the final week of our course, I'm hoping to invite Juan Riboldi into the class and have him introduce the entrepreneurship course, because a lot of what I'm teaching is the appetizer for entrepreneurship. So creating an idea, protecting your idea, and then he can take it on how to turn it into a business. And so there isn't going to be any mock-ups or creating anything. It's all just going to be in our minds and on paper, unless you want to do further. And that's, I won't stop you from going above and beyond.
Thank you so much for that. That is a great question also. So so we are trying to make things that are practical and applicable. Some of the students are actually going to take some of their ideas, further and so on, and we always will encourage them to do so. But one of the things that we try to emphasize with our courses and in the academy is to lower the amount of stress. Okay. I have again tell you that having taught online classes for different schools and different places where there is grading and there's, exams and tests and everything, the level of anxiety and stress is a lot higher. Okay. In our classes, we still expect the students to study. We expect them to perform and to do the assignments. But by not having the grade kind of behind their necks, okay, all the time, I have seen that the students are a lot more focused in learning instead of trying to feed someone's expectations and things like that. Okay. And so I have been pleasantly surprised actually at receiving some of the feedback from this past year's courses and some of the students telling me how much they had enjoyed the experience. Okay. And some of those were students that I didn't hear from too much or anything, but they still felt that they had learned a lot, and it was a very, very valuable experience, the whole thing. So that is pleasantly surprising. Let me see. The next question here says, Joycelyn is asking, what kind of assignments will be in the Christ Center literature course? And before we go any further, first of all, I don't think that Ty Crossley is here in the meeting. He couldn't be here because he had another commitment at this time. But in the schedule, we put the course as a name, Christ Center Literature. But then in the courses, we changed the name of the course to Discovering True Identity. Okay, is the same course. Okay, is exactly the same core, the same content and everything, but the two different names. All right. The reason why we changed the name was not because we are changing the content, but because some families are seeking to be reimbursed for the tuition with MyTech High or some other institution, that they require the courses not to be religious courses. Okay. And so because of that, we just change the name of the course. The content of the course is exactly the same, but that is the reason why. So, but I'm not sure exactly what are the assignments that Mr. Crossley has in mind for this course. From what I know, from what I remember of him teaching some of my children in his classes, is that they do kind of a lot of annotation and journaling as they read the books that they are reading. So they take notes of the things that they are reading, they answer some questions, but mainly is about the reading and then being able to come ready to discuss what they have learned in the class. Okay, so I hope that is a good question there. Good answer, at least good enough. Let me see. The next question that I have here from Melinda is, do you know what the recorded class cost will be and how many sections will there be? Like geometry says geometry 1. Okay, so this is also an issue about the geometry, and geometry 1 is also just a naming issue. Okay, they are the same class. All right, it's not any different. The reason why I changed the name of the class from geometry to geometry 1 was because a lot of the students that finished the geometry course were asking for, can we keep going? Can can we do geometry too? We just got to book 4, barely. Okay, and so in the future, I may be developing the geometry 2 course, but not this next year. As far as these self-paced courses, how much they are going to be, I'm going to offer them at $150 per semester. Okay, so instead of doing the whole year tuition, we are going to break the course into the first 16 weeks, and you enroll your student for the first 16 weeks, and then you enroll the student for the second 16 weeks. I don't have them yet ready to register those courses. Okay, so if you are thinking of enrolling your student in one of those, then wait a little bit more until I catch up my breath and get those ready and set up. And then we'll announce when those will be ready for registration. So the registration for the self-paced courses is not starting tonight. Okay, is that clear? Okay, I'm hoping that is all right. And you will notice the difference because, again, the self-paced courses are pretty much about half of the course of the regular courses, and they are also offered one semester at a time, and they will be clearly labeled that way. Melinda, does that answer your question there? Okay, I hope that it is. Okay, so Emily is asking also about those courses. When are those available? When is the earliest start date? And they are going to be available as soon as we finish preparing them. All right. So I have about 4 people working on editing the videos of those courses at this time. So we just finished last week. We are now starting in the process of editing those videos and preparing the courses so they will be ready. So soon. Okay. Is that a good answer, Emily? Okay, thank you. Jessica, all right, so that sounds like a wonderful format. Yes, I think that I really hope that this becomes also a very valuable tool for the students to take these courses, this self-paced mode. All right. I had this past year, there were a few students that, again, because of just their schedule, they registered for the course, but couldn't attend the live class. And so especially there was one mother, okay, Tonya, that she told me from the beginning she really wanted to do the geometry course, but couldn't fit it in her schedule at that time. And so she basically took the course and did the whole thing in this self-paced mode. All right, without the advantage of having the videos edited and designed appropriately. So I did meet with her over chat often. So I was keeping track of her progress and everything and giving her feedback. And she finished the whole thing, all the 32 weeks of geometry very successfully. Okay, so I know that this is something that is very doable, okay, and also that it will be very valuable. And if we add to that this idea of editing the videos, so the videos are just the good parts of the class, okay, and also having the one-on-one meetings every 4 weeks, I think that is going to be a very, very good educational experience. Okay. John and Ruth, you had your hand up. I think that is Ruth.
Yeah, it took me a minute to figure out how to unmute. So I was wondering if all of the classes have a self-paced option or if it's just a few, and what's the difference between a self-paced option and the regular classes?
Excellent. So at this point, the only classes that will have the self-paced option are Geometry 1, Physics, and Biology. Okay. In the future, whether the teachers decide to offer a self-paced option for their course or not is really dependent upon the teacher. Okay. So, the courses again are owned by the individual teachers. Okay, and so it will be a matter of whether they want to do this option to offer their course this way or not. Okay, so I'm hoping that everyone will want to, but that is up to them. Does that is that fair? Okay. So was there another part to your question on that regard?
Yeah, so what's the difference between the self-paced classes and the regular classes?
Well, the difference is that in the self-paced classes, the students are basically doing it at their pace. All right. The whole class is already created. And so when the student registers, let's say for geometry semester 1, they will have available all the first 16 weeks of the course, and they can complete the course in as little time as they want to, or they can take up to a year to complete the course. Okay. After a year, their subscription and access to the course will expire. All right. The other difference is that they don't have to attend the live class at a specific time or date. That is why we need to wait until the class is already recorded to offer the self-paced option for the students. All right.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
So my son really wants to take one of these classes, but he has some pretty severe anxiety, especially on camera. And I heard you say at the beginning that the cameras need to be on. Could he keep his off if he is actively participating?
What can I say? This is the part where it's like, it's kind of tough because, all right, imagine if I turn my video off, what can you do to help me turn the video on? Okay, there's really nothing I can do. Okay, I can invite, I can ask, all right. But if the student chooses to take the video off, there's nothing I can do about it. Okay. If the students are willing to participate, they are willing to participate. If they are so, shy or timid, or just they want to listen and not participate, there's also very little that I can do to encourage them. Okay. All right. So, these are the expectations, but you need to basically see what would be the best way for my child to participate in this class. All right. And so if you determine that for him or her, the best way is to have the camera off and to be just a passive participant in the class, fine. All right. I'm okay with that too. All right. I just want to make sure that the students are learning, that they are having a good educational experience. So does that help? Okay, excellent. Stacy is asking, sorry, we have a lot of chaos in our house, but did I hear you say that the whole family can participate in the courses? Do we have to sign up each child for a course if 2 or more can take it? Okay, so this is a very good question. All right. Again, similarly to the issue about the turning the screen on or off, there's also very little that I can do if the whole family is watching and participating in the class together, all right? And I'm not going to turn anyone away, all right? My goal is really for your family's education to improve, okay? So that is kind of the thing. As far as do we have to sign up each child for the course? Well, if you want each child to basically complete their assignments and receive feedback and be considered to be a completed student of the course, yes, each child needs to sign up for the course. Okay. So this is kind of similar to, I like to run races. Okay, I am not a fast runner, but I like to run races, and in most of the times, everyone that runs the race registers for the race. But if there is a runner that just shows up at the start, doesn't have a number, and they just run the race together with everyone else, usually no one is going to really stop them, okay, unless they are winning. Okay, they don't get any recognition for that. But that is something that happens in the running world. That is not considered a good etiquette, okay? Is actually very frowned upon by runners and race organizers, okay, but it happens. In this case, actually, I am actually more lenient in that sense. I really want the family to participate and watch the videos and discuss things together and everything. I would love for the student that is registered for the class to teach their siblings or the parents what they are learning in the class and share it together and so on. Yeah, that is ideal. Okay. But as far as who turns in the assignments, only the students that are registered for the course are the ones that turn in the assignments, and we are going to grade just the assignments for that student. Okay. Is that a fair answer? Okay. Anyone else wants to pipe in on that or comment? Okay.
I think I would agree with that, especially with the English class. We'll have discussions, and then we'll have students write things. And if there are 3 or 4 students, I was homeschooled for 3.5 years, 5th through 9th grade, and I had a math tutor, but we didn't all go to the math tutor. It was tailored to me because I would hand in assignments and things. But I would just be judicious on it, because you probably want feedback for all of the students, and certainly you get feedback for all the students if they're all registered, especially for English class.
Yeah. And that is certainly, in English classes especially true, because to give feedback in an English class is a lot of work, okay? It takes especially a large amount of work to do that. So we couldn't expect, that one student is registered and 3 students are turning in assignments and expecting to receive feedback that way. Okay. All right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if everyone registers, we are happy to do it. Oh, yes. Okay. So many times I tell you, I meet families that have seen some of the anatomy and physiology videos that I produce for American Heritage, and we are going to use some of those videos, most of them in the anatomy and physiology class this year. And I meet families and they say, oh, we all watch the videos together. Even my 3-year-old watches the videos. Like, okay, I hope they are learning something. So that is great. So I love that. And the next part of the question, Stacy asked, also, what ages are these courses best suited for? We are specifically interested in entrepreneurship and the literature course. So most of the courses are geared towards high school students. Some of them, and I would probably say that most of them are also good for a motivated middle school student. Okay. The entrepreneurship course is the same content that my brother, the teacher of the course, teaches to professionals, all right, in industry. And so I would probably think that that course is geared more towards the high schoolers, but I think that it would be, if you have a very motivated middle schooler, it will be all right. The literature course specifically is probably very good for middle school students. Okay, so that one is actually one that I think that it would be very appropriate for middle school and high school students to take. The fun thing about doing these courses for a homeschooling audience is really that the age is not necessarily a big factor here. Okay. So we have been successful at having classes with very young students, with high school students, and with adults, all in the same class, all participating and learning tremendously. So I think that is kind of a big plus about this format specifically. Okay, let me see. Okay, so Marcy says, my understanding is each child who is taking the course and completing the work needs to register separately. Yes, that is the case. And very, very important now when we are going to open the registration that you make sure that you register the student under the student account. Okay, so so far in the pre-registration, let me share the screen with you and see what I have seen. So far in the pre-registration courses, most of the people that have done the pre-registration are parents, okay? That is not going to fly for the actual registration. So now when we are going to open the registration for the courses, and we have all the courses now here lined up and ready to go for the 2023-24 year, you need to make sure that you log out, okay, you log out and you register the course for the student account, okay? So for example, I have now here 2 accounts. One is my kind of hosting account, and then I have another account that is like a student account, all right? And so when I log into this student account, and you would need a student account for each one of your children, you see that things look slightly different for me. When I go here to the courses, then I see that the courses are now available, to be bought, okay? And so in a few minutes, I'm going to turn over the time to someone else to continue answering questions so I can turn all the payment plans on, okay? So that is what is going to happen now in a second. All right. So does that make sense? Well, I'm going to continue. Okay, so I'm going to, there's a lot of messages here in the chat. I am going to ask, okay, my teachers, who are the teachers still remaining? I think that Trent might have hit the beach, okay, instead of being in the car. And we have Sam, and I think that I saw Alan before, all right? So I don't know if Alan is still here. But
Ellen
Sam, if
just
you can.
left.
Oh, okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you. So if you can continue answering some of the questions, I'm going to go to the academy and start opening the registrations. Okay. I have to do some clicking here and there.
Do it.
Mhm.
Do it, Pablo. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you. Mhm.
I wonder if now that he's hosting this thing, I guess it'll still be going. He's just not talking. I think that's it.
Yes, that's correct. Mhm.
Okay, good. 'Cause if you logged out, we'd all be sent into outer space. Thanks.
Yeah, I just need to be on my other screen doing the work. So that is, but I'm listening and, so keep going.
I can only speak toward the English course. I can't imagine what you're all thinking, because you want the best for your kids. You want to make sure that who you're entrusting to be on the platform with is trustworthy. I hope that I love the spirit of that prayer that was said at the very beginning, that that we'll feel the spirit and we'll learn together. I look forward to being with these young people. I teach at a high school, American Fork High School in Utah, and I just finished my 26th year there. That's 16, 17, 18-year-olds, but I think my heart is a junior high kid a little bit. And so, but I was homeschooled. We were the first homeschooled family in Utah County when I was in 5th grade back in the 80s. And that was such a wonderful time. And I cherished those years. Then I went to a junior high school, then a private school, then I graduated from a public school, and now I teach at a public school. But education is best learned through the parents, moms, you know best. And I have 5 kids of my own, and I have grandsons. But if you have any questions, I know just in my brief interactions here on Zoom that a lot of these instructors are willing to counsel with you, and please don't ever be shy or abashed in any way to ask us questions about how to approach that. But you do know what's best. I hope you'll reach out too, as you have been doing on these chats. I'm sorry if I haven't answered some of those chats. Some of them have come to me and they say, you can't respond to everyone here. And so I've been responding to you individually. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any about the English class. I think you'll probably just dive in. When you look at these, as you click on these, as the course registration opens too, they'll all have a little overview. And I think the majority of them will have a little bit of a roadmap of what each week will look like. English has that. It has very, week by week, we'll learn basic concepts, and there will be a basic composition that each student will do, experiment with different types of compositions.
So Sam, you said middle school is kind of, would you include middle school in that then? 7th, 8th grade?
Yeah, English will always work. These assignments will always work because the rules don't change, but the learning will happen in the context of the student's understanding, really, because we will all be learning English and speaking English during this. A 7th grader and a 22-year-old could take this, because the prompts, let me give you an example. One of the prompts will be write a half a page, roughly 8 to 10 sentences on the prompt. What is an attribute of a successful adult? Now, a 7th grader can answer that. Same with a 20-year-old. But in your composition, let's employ some rules we learned today on the semicolon and some elevated diction, some good words. And here's a list of words. So, and then when we share, we can see it in the context of where they are and understand those things. So yeah, it works across age groups. Thanks, Helen.
All right. Okay, I'm back. I'm done. All right. So
Yeah.
being 7:04, all the courses are now ready for registration. Registration is now open in the courses. Again, let me share the screen with you and show you how it goes. So now when you log in, if you refresh your page and click there on courses 23-24, you see that all the courses are there, okay, and they all have the monthly price, all right. You will notice that entrepreneurship and the English course are less because they are semester courses. So instead of paying for the whole year, we are prorating the $300 over 8 months, okay. So, but the way that you go to register is you click on the course that you want to register for, and you can do the annual subscription or the monthly subscription, okay? And so then you have, like Sam was explaining here, the description of the course and the benefits and some of the things, and when you can click on which one you want, one or the other, okay? Or you can make sure that you switch here. You can switch that from the monthly, to the yearly. So you make sure that you pay which one you need to do for the registration, okay? But again, make sure, please, 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 that you log out of your parent account and you log in with your student account, okay? Please, 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 don't do me the other way, because then it's a mess, okay? And it's not easy to fix that little mistake, okay? So does that make sense? All right. So registration is open for all the courses. This is such a blessing. I have to tell you, this is such an amazing thing to be able to do this in such a short amount of time, and especially the blessing of being able to have such a great team of teachers and mentors willing to offer these courses. This is fantastic for me. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Okay. Let me see if there's other questions that we need to address. Okay. All right. Michelle is asking, so just to clarify, there will not be live recordings for the English and literature classes? No, all the courses will have recordings. What we are saying is that this year we are not able to offer the self-paced version of the courses at this time, okay? So, but the courses will be recorded, and if the student misses the live class, they can always watch the recording of the class and then basically be able to catch up that way, okay? So question is, will all the mentors be offering the second hour? I don't know, actually. All right. I know that some have other commitments and so on. So we are going to kind of leave that to each one of the mentors. In my particular case, I have to actually go to my other job during that time. So I'm going to, what I have been doing this year is I put one of the students kind of in charge of the meeting to be the co-host and so on. And then I can I can come in and out as needed. Okay. From the meeting. All right. Also, Michelle says, will the literature class that is scheduled at 4 p.m. also have an extra hour from 5 to 6? Again, I hope so, and that is our intent, but we'll see if what the teacher decides to do. Okay. All right. Yeah, we will record us. Christy is asking, are all the classes going to be formatted similar to how I do my classes this year? Yes, similar in the way that the classes are organized. So we are going to divide the classes by weeks. Each week is going to have a reading or an assignment, is going to have lessons and videos and things that the students are going to do. And then the students prepare that material and then they come ready to discuss that the following week. So they are all following that. Okay. So, yeah, so Sam Bison is saying the English class will go 60 minutes with no extra time. However, students can QA with me during the week through the course online correspondence platform. Okay, and that is also a very valuable tool that is available for all the students. So Connie is asking if it's 1 hour of class each week, how much time should the student plan on outside of that hour for studying and homework? All the courses are designed, all of them, not just biology, but all the courses are designed to plan for the students to take about 3 to 4 hours of independent study work in order to do the readings, watch videos, complete assignments, turn in assignments, the whole thing. Most of the students are able to do it in that amount of time, okay? There are some students that take a lot more time, and there are some students that take a lot less time. But our intent and design is to give about that amount of coursework. Keith, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
All right, I'm not Keith, I'm Sienna, but all right.
That's why of not having a camera, my friend.
Oh, fine, I'll put me on just a second. It might be too dark. Oh, there we go. Okay, you've probably already covered this, but I'm in and out. So I want to sign up for the self-paced geometry class. How do I do that?
Not yet. Okay. So wait. Okay. Don't sign up for the full class. All right. So I'm putting the self-paced courses together pretty soon. Okay. So, but it takes some doing in order to do that. Okay.
All right, I won't pay you about that tonight. Thank you very much.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Just remember that I just finished classes last week. So, Michelle.
Hi. I just realized I was kind of excited, so I just created the accounts and signed up for geometry while we're talking, and then realized, whoops, I wanted to do self-paced.
Oh.
Oops. So how do I cancel that? Oopsie.
I think that there is a way for you to actually cancel the subscription. Okay. All right. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll try to do it in text you if it doesn't work.
Yes, yes. So just let's connect and see. So yes, please let's hold your horses, okay?
Okay,
Thank you, Michelle. Yes. Mary B is asking, is the biology class enough to count as a biology credit? Marcy, what do you think?
Well, okay, you know my thoughts on this. Yes, of course, and then some. I think, we create our own transcripts as homeschoolers, so it's really up to you as the parent.
But as far as the content of the course,
Oh, yeah, it's pretty involved and advanced material, I would say.
Yeah. So
Plenty
all
of
the
content.
families. Yeah, plenty of content. Okay, so this course is really almost like a college freshman level. Okay, in that regard. The thing is, all the parents, all the families that have taken these courses, they have been able to get reimbursed from with My Tech High in Utah and other places I've heard in Florida and Arizona. They haven't had any problems as far as that goes. Okay. So, and again, as far as credit goes, we don't issue credit because we are not an accredited institution, but you keep track of what the students are doing, and then you can create your own transcripts for your students. The interesting thing is we are planning on issuing, as soon as I finish the self-paced courses, I'm going to start keeping track and issuing certificates of completion and certificates of participation for the students that completed the courses. Okay. So that is also coming up, but they are not official transcripts. They're not official credit. Connie is asking, is the second hour required? Not, it is not required. All right. I mean, most of the times the students finish the class and they leave. They have other things to do, and that is perfectly fine. So, okay.
Pablo, I have a question.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, so I'm on my computer and I got both of my kids their accounts. So I have one, I have them both, I can see them both, right? So they both want to take the Story of Liberty. So I put my card in for the one. How to, what does it say?
Sorry, you
that
froze.
I've already purchased it or something. Like it's not letting me purchase it because it says I already have that.
Okay.
So,
let me.
Because we need to purchase it for each student, correct?
Yes.
So basically, it's not letting me do that though.
Okay, let's take a look at things. Could you share your screen? Would that be okay?
Can you tell me how to do that? I have no clue.
No problem. In Zoom, if you are on Zoom, at the bottom of the screen, there's a button, a green button that says share screen. You click on that, okay, and then there's going to appear a window, and you click on the screen at the top left, and then there's another share button, okay. So
is it under more?
It could be under more.
Under more.
Okay. Yeah.
It's under more. I'm not seeing anything come up. Maybe settings. Nope.
No. Are you sometimes depending on the computer is not set up to share the screen, but are you making sure that you are logging out of the account of the student that you purchased the course and then logging into the other student's account?
So at first, when I was trying to set up their accounts, the computer was only allowing one student, but now I have two separate screens open. And
no. Sorry. Mighty Networks doesn't work with two separate screens on the same browser. So even though you have two different tabs on the browser is still thinking that is the same session. Okay. And so you are
even
basically,
though it's showing that two separate kids are.
Yes. So you need to actually don't open two tabs. Just have one tab Log out, okay, and log in on the other student, and that will do it. Okay.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
Let me know if you encounter a problem that way. Mhm.
Okay.
All right. John and Ruth are asking, what does the S mean on the schedule next to English and entrepreneurship? Is that they are semester courses? Okay, those are the two ones that we have semester courses. The leadership course is a whole year course. Yeah. This is great. Some of you are already answering the questions and everything. Mhm. Okay. All right. So we talk about this. Okay. We have also some questions about the rotation of the well-educated heart. That is a fantastic tool, and we want to kind of help, coordinate the content of many of our courses with those rotations also. All right. Okay. All right. Guys, I'm reading some of the questions in the chat, but I see that everything is pretty much being answered. All right. So in Bonnie asked for the digital art class, does each student need Photoshop, or would it be included in the class? No, each student would need to have a license of Photoshop. Okay, we cannot provide that because that would, be a management nightmare for us to manage those licenses. So we don't do that. Okay. So Michelle is asking, when there are two teachers listed, are they team teaching or is it just the first teacher listed? So what happens is that because I am kind of the owner of the network, I have had to create a lot of the courses and spaces and everything. And so I appear as the teacher in almost all of the courses. But that I'm trying to find a way to get out of that onerous business. So, yeah. I'm only teaching 5 courses. The rest are the other instructors. Okay.
I have one more question.
Yes, go ahead. Did it work?
Well, yes, but there's a message that comes up after the purchase, and it says, coming soon, we'll notify you as soon as something becomes available. So what does that mean?
As soon as something becomes available, it says?
Does that not mean just because we paid for the class, does that not mean that the kids are in the class? Or does basically the purchase of the class mean that they're in? What does that mean?
Let me check. Let me check. Okay.
So when I saw that, what I see is just that the class is not available. So there's not any videos or classwork required as of right now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is that what? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that means that they have purchased the class. They are registering the class, but there's not much content in the class yet. Okay.
That's what that means.
We are feverishly working on all that.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, classes start August 24th, is it? Or 28? 28. Okay. So we will need the students to come to the first class having already studied the lesson and the content of that first week. Okay, so but that we'll talk about that more when we get closer to that. All right, excellent. Okay, let me see. I'm going to pretty much finish here. All right, the meeting, declare the meeting done. We have successfully opened the registration. We have some testimonials of people having been able to register and clear some hurdles that way. So I'm going to let you go if you need to, or you can remain here if you have any other question for me. I'm going to continue looking at the messages in the chat to see if there's other questions that need to be answered. Or if you want to ask a question, just raise your hand or somehow let me know and take on the floor. Okay. All right. But I want to thank you for your support. Thank you for coming to the meeting and participating. All right. And I really, really appreciate this opportunity to serve. Michelle, do you have a question?
Yes. Yeah. So, you can answer, you can email later, but maybe other people want to know is just like somebody else asked a similar question, like what is the refund policy? It doesn't look like I can cancel it on. I mean, I canceled the subscription and they said it will cancel in a year, so it didn't really cancel. So it but anyway, so that would be just good to know, so I just made a mistake, but somebody else also asked, if we signed up for a bunch of classes and then we realized, whoa, this is a little bit too much, you have a refund policy, or how will that look? So
that is a great question. Okay, so the way that we are going to do it is the following. Automatically, when someone buys something, the payment processing company Stripe charges me 3% on fees. So I cannot return that because I never have that money. Okay. All right. But for example, in this case that you make a mistake and everything, I'm going to refund you everything else. All right. Okay. So that is no problem. If someone buys the monthly subscription, okay, then they certainly can cancel, and then that is it. All right, there's really no refund for the monthly subscription. Okay, if that is all right. In the yearly subscription, we are going to basically prorate the refund depending on the amount of time that has lapsed since they subscribe. Okay, so that would be basically similar to if they would have paid the monthly subscription, how much they get on the refund for that. All right. After October, I don't issue any more refunds. All right, because if not, it's kind of a mess. So, but I need to write all this down because now it's recorded. Okay, so now we have a policy here, Michelle. So, does that sound okay?
yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. So my recommendation, all right, really is if you are kind of wondering, how many courses will the students take, or what would be the appropriate workload, instead of paying the annual subscription, register with the monthly one. Because you can always, finish that earlier and then you're fine. Okay. So that would be the best trick.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, no problem. As soon as the meeting finishes, I'm going to log in onto Stripe and process your refund. All right, Megan?
Hi, Pablo. I was just wondering, this is a super niche question, so I apologize to everyone who doesn't live in Florida, but I have this state funding that I can use. But because this isn't, the state of Florida doesn't know about the Well-Educated Heart Academy, unfortunately. So it's not pre-approved. So I would need to, apply for pre-approval for it, but that would require a diploma, a copy of the diploma of the teacher of the class. So I was just wondering if you think the teachers here would be willing to provide that, or if that's not really an option.
No, certainly it is an option. I have done that for another Florida family, and they were successful at getting reimbursed. All right. So which course are you thinking of?
My son's favorite two are algebra and Spanish. Those are his picks. So yeah.
Okay. So this is the thing. I have my degrees. I have a bachelor's in information management, and my master's and PhD are on instructional science. So I don't have I don't have a degree in mathematics, okay, but I have tutored mathematics and statistics at college level and taught, tons of different classes and everything. So the Florida family that asked me for this, I took a picture of my doctoral degree, and they were able to turn that in, and they didn't have any problem. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be fine.
Yes, Mr. Heyman also has a degree, but I don't think that his degree is in Spanish, but he speaks Spanish really, really well.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, my husband's saying there's alternate ways, but I think if we had the copy of the degree or some sort of transcript, that's probably all it would really take. So as long as you're willing to give it, then that's great. So
I'm perfectly willing. Okay, I imagine that Mr. Heyman will be too, and the other teachers. But we are kind of very independent here. So the best thing that you need to do is either email me or contact us in the chat. All right.
Okay.
And make sure that you ask for that until you get it. Okay. If I forget, keep bothering me. Okay. Until I send it to you.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. Thank you. And I'm always and let me know how it goes, Megan, because I am always very interested in finding ways of making this easier for everyone, and every state has different requirements and different plans and everything. And so I want to make sure that we work the kinks out to make these refunds work for you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. All right.